Welcome, everyone. This is the first episode of Miscellaneous Candor, frank, honest, and otherwise unspoken. I'm Robbie. I'm going to be your host today. And this is a show where we speak about with candor about our views on various subjects. We review podcasts that we listen to and like. I know everybody's so tired of hearing about AI, but guess what? We're going to talk about AI in relationship to how it's actually affecting everyday life, because we feel like it's really important for people to understand this, even if you're like, this is not affecting me. It really is. And also, too, we're going to have conversations about random current events, gossip. Greg may not know anything about that, but I do. And while we may not always agree, in today's world, particularly given everything that's going on with a potential change in our administration of the United States, disagreeing with respect is becoming a vibe, and it needs to be one. So let me welcome my co-host. Greg, are you here?
Thank you, Robbie. I am here. How are you today?
I'm well, Greg. I am well. This is going to be something else. So let's start off and talk a little bit about podcast reviews. I know you like a lot of podcasts. I'm gonna ask you first.
Tell me,
Greg, what have you listened to this week? What's been a podcast that you really liked, or what's been really
well, Robbie, let me pick up my phone and get myself plenty distracted from this conversation. Let's see. Latest. It looks like it's going to rain out here. Oh, okay. Podcasts. Prof G Pod. Scott Galloway. Quite good.
So what did you like? What did you like about this week's Prof G Pod?
Prof G tends to repeat himself a little bit, but I like his irreverence.
Is that because you're irreverent? Why do you have that accent? I feel like you don't always have that accent.
No, this is Greg. This is Greg.
All right, Greg.
This is Greg. It's the same Greg you've always known, Robert. Same Greg. Oh, let's say, okay, all right. Deepstate Radio. Deepstate Radio. It's one of my favorites. It's a bit of foreign policy focus. I like yourself a Sam Harris every now and then. How about you, Robbie? He's quiet.
I don't even know who Sam Harris is. I don't even know who Sam Harris is.
You think he's a racist?
Do I? I don't know who he is.
Sam Harris.
Yeah. So tell me about Sam Harris and his podcast. But first, though, before we go into Sam Harris and his podcast, let's go back. I do listen to Prof G. I like Scott Galloway too. Sometimes he's a little bit too much for me, but I respect his views, and I think he has a lot of good views on the economy. I listened to ProfGMarkets this week.
I also enjoyed ProfGMarkets.
So that one was a good one. But what did you say? Deepstate Radio? What did they talk about? What did they talk about this week?
Foreign policy, Robbie. Foreign policy.
So give me an example of what. Tell our audience, like, what foreign policy that's so vague.
What did you like? A couple of examples.
Okay.
This last week or two, they've been talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. You know that one?
Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's a bit of a tyrant.
You think so?
A little bit of an autocrat. Want to be autocrat.
Okay.
And, they have analysis of that, and quite good debate between some people who are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. And yes, it's quite good. They often have Ed Luce from the Financial Times.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He's smart. Good takes. And let's see what else you have here. They've discussed, though, they always cover Ukraine. That's always interesting. Definitely an anti-Trump bias on that one for the most part. As is with almost anything I'm going to listen to, because anyone who's pro-Trump is pretty much a fucking retard.
Okay, let's rewind.
We're being respectful.
Yes, we are, because I'll say this. On ProfGMarkets, I think the guy's name is Ed on there. I don't always know these names.
Ed Elson.
Ed Elson, thank you. Yes, Ed Elson. So he was saying that a lot of people do think that Trump is going to win, and the people that are supporting Trump are supporting Trump because of their wanting to his money policy, right? Their businesses. So I mean, there are people who are out there who might not necessarily agree with all the things that he says, but they do agree with the policies and they want to see those policies move forward. So, that being said, there is a platform for that. And there are people out there who agree with that. But okay, it's good to know that everything that you're listening to is going to have that note. At least our audiences knows that. But I want people to know that you can have your beliefs, and if you want to vote for Trump, you can vote for Trump. I mean, that's a part of being in America.
Yes.
Okay, Greg. That was a yes. Is it? But you said the Sam Harris guy is a racist.
I'm only joking.
Oh,
He's not really a racist. He's had some episodes of his podcast. I think one of them I had sent to you in the past about the Black Lives Matter thing, and he was critical of some of that.
okay. Yeah, well, I was critical of some of that too.
All right. Let's go to the clip, Robbie.
Okay.
I'm joking. There's no clips.
I wasn't going to say what clip. This is our first episode. We don't have clips yet. All right. All right, everyone. So we're going to take a break for a bit.
Yeah. That's it. It's our episode.
No, it's not our episode.
We're done.
Okay. All right. Next topic. So, everyday effects of AI. So, all right, everybody's talking about AI, right? AI this, AI that, AI this, AI that. People are just coming out of the woodworks talking about AI. But I'm listening to this really interesting podcast. So it's kind of like an intersection of the podcast and also to AI called, I think it's called Vergecast. And evidently they were talking about, there's this guy out there named Dries, and he creates a lot of these types of intersectional AI type of applications with the data that's out there. So that if for anyone that doesn't know, AI is really all based on data, right? But we think that we can protect some of our data, or we know that we put out all of our data, but it's one thing to know that when you put out your data, see it reflect back to you. So evidently what he's done is he's taken like the data that is in our phones, like Facebook, all of that. And then I didn't know this, but there are like websites and things still that are out there that are public, just video streams of all of us. Because cameras are everywhere, not just like in certain countries, but
What?
Yes, Greg.
Not
Yes.
in the US. It's got to be in where CCTV is.
Nope. Everywhere.
What?
Yes. So like locally, there are all of these cameras around, and they are publicly available because they're taking pictures, whether it be police catching, like people who run red lights, or all of this. It's at like the county level.
We've got to go to this website right now.
I will. You know what? I'll find the website. I will actually. I think I have to put it in the. I'll put it in the transcript so that people can look at it. But yes, it's real. But that's one. So what he did is using the video from like not just this website, but just publicly available sources of cameras, and having people taking selfies, right, of themselves, of like their pictures, and if they have the location data on, like that also too becomes open. And then too, if they do have if this person has an open Instagram account, then it is viable, or open TikTok or Facebook or whatever. And stitching it together from like the video and finding that person on social media. I was like, that is crazy. So the AI is the thing that helps them pull in all that data, stitch it, and actually link the person at the same point in time that they were taking the selfie based upon the camera data that's out there. Isn't that crazy?
Black Mirror type stuff. We're going down that path, Robbie.
I think so. Okay, the other thing too I wanted to say about AI. So I don't know if you heard about this. This happened a few weeks ago, but Intuit laid off a huge amount of people, and they said the reason that they were laying them off was because of AI. It was like 1,200 people. Did you hear about that?
Couldn't that be quite a cover though for wanting to do a right sizing?
Well, that's
really
what
a bunch of people.
You're right, Greg. You're right. And here's the thing: after they laid off the 1,200 people, then they said that in the future they were going to have 1,200 job openings, but where they were going to be AI related.
What a crock of shit.
Greg, I need you to give me more than 1 to 2 answers on this. I feel like I'm talking to myself on this podcast.
All right. Let's go back to foreign policy for a moment. Could we?
Okay, all right. Let's go back to foreign policy. I guess
I'm going to give you a hot take and how I see things.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
I believe that what we are seeing is a slow motion creation of a alliance between Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea to a lesser extent. What we're going to see here is continued military cooperation, and effectively, I think it will come out that they do have an alliance that's just not been announced because these are autocracies. And you have an interesting component in the United States with the politics of these MAGA people who are pro-Trump and pro-Putin, one and the same. And I think that there's potential for a very dangerous situation from a classic geopolitics perspective with these larger, more militarily capable parties. And I think with the U.S. dynamic of support for some of those leaders, it could get quite messy and interesting in the coming 2 years.
So you think that in 2 years, Russia, China, and Iran and North Korea are actually going to be an alliance, kind of like a sub-NATO? That's what I'm hearing. Am I right?
I think yes. I think you can see that, because why would they not? I mean, they've got all these people who are naive to history, because these powers, I mean, under the USSR, Soviet bloc, they had an alliance of various countries, and China was not part of that because China wasn't worth being part of that at that time. Now you've got even more of a alignment of those things, and then China's now in the driver's seat between all these countries, and they effectively replaced the USSR, and it's just a ripe time for them to do this. And why would they not? I mean, there's no disincentive for them to align. NATO is a defensive alliance, and that's great, but why wouldn't they have? I'm not saying that there's
for our audience that now we're in news and updates, because we kind of did a shift. So let's just say that we're in news and updates. I'm trying to keep the programming in segments. We'll see how that goes.
You want me to say more?
Okay, so you think that North Korea, Russia, Iran, and China are going to be like a sub-NATO. Do you feel like they're going to be structured about it, like having meetings and these whole global convenience that they have, like what they do with NATO?
I think they're already having those meetings, Robbie.
They're coming together
they have summits. I mean, you don't have. There was a report in the Wall Street Journal last week that and there's photos, and this was announced by the Department of Defense of the United States, the government, and that the Russians and the Chinese have carried joint patrols off the coast of Alaska. And I don't see how you can look at that and say, well, they never had a meeting about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, they're doing joint patrols. So, I mean, joint coordinated air patrols. And I think, I'm not trying to say that I think that there's they're an offensive alliance. It's about to plan an attack on the United States or a NATO country, but they sure as hell appear to be deciding that we need to band together. And, there's maybe a cultural misunderstanding situation between the fact that NATO is a defensive alliance and that the Russians and Chinese don't seem to understand this. Or do they understand it, but they don't care?
So Jinping and Putin, right? Let's say they did have a meeting, but how about North Korea and Iran? Where do they come in? How are you seeing that they are also too having summits?
Well, I think you can find evidence in reports of certainly the Russians meeting with the Iranians, North Korea, probably not as much, which is why I said today, in my opening statement or hypothesis here, that North Korea was probably to a lesser extent, I think, what I said. And I think that even then, though, you do see that the North Koreans, it's, well known, are supplying significant amounts of artillery shells to the Russians in their campaign against Ukraine. So clearly, once again, you don't have that type of military cooperation without, meetings and significant levels of senior level leadership sponsorship of that effort. I mean, it transferred billions of counts of ammo to a country at war. And
Okay, so
I mean,
okay, you're a political, I would say, a foreign policy wonk, as people in that space say. But how about like for everyday people who are just going to the grocery store and getting their eggs and doing their thing, going their jobs, and they might look at this a little bit, but they're not like deep into it. How do you think this is going to affect them? Particularly, like you said, and I will agree that the understanding of historical relevance and the interthreading of that has kind of died down in the last 10, 20 years or so. And, people are not necessarily thinking about that on a day-to-day basis. Like maybe I should say a percentage of people that think about that in the overall population has gone down over the years. So
I agree. I
how's
think, and I think, I sorry to cut you off. I think that's the scariest part about it is there's a lack of understanding and knowledge and education on history by people, not just in the United States, but generally speaking, across Western democracies, particularly the developed, advanced economies. And the unfortunate case of this is that these are slow motion events that maybe don't affect you until they do, at which point shit gets real, as old Scott Galloway says. And I think that, will it impact the people going to the grocery store this morning? No. But will it impact them at some point, 3-4 years from now? I mean, the United States has been enjoying a geographic defensive position by the nature of being a continent for really the last 100 years. And now that there's advent of intercontinental ballistic missiles, I mean, you can't say that there's not a situation where that's just a disappeared thing. I mean, if the Russians, the Chinese, and North Korea, we'll bring them back in the mix, can hit cities in the North American homeland, well, I mean, if they went to war with us in a theater, what's to say they wouldn't start just lobbing missiles into the States? Americans have no idea what it's like to be under bombardment.
Okay, well, that's really depressing.
I'm just bringing you the things that are on my mind, Robbie, in the middle of the night.
I just have to say that's really depressing to hear it. I don't think our audience out there who's going to the grocery store would hear that either. Probably gonna flip off and be like, "What is this?" But
Well,
I hear you. I hear you. I think it is worth having the discussion, which is why I'm glad that you're going to be my co-host moving forward, so that we can do things like right now. I'm going to do a hard pivot, and I appreciate everything that you said. What do you think about Ben Affleck buying his own house? Does this mean that him and J-Lo are really going to get a divorce?
I have no idea. I will tell you that I've recently enjoyed a movie with Ben Affleck.
Which one?
Where he is an accountant.
Oh, The Accountant. You saw that?
Yes, it's quite good. Quite good. I like that accountant. He's got autism and Asperger's, which, is a little bit close to my heart. And I will say that it's a clever movie. A little hard to follow sometimes. But, I wish that guy the best. I think he's one of the best accountants and assassins out there. And if he's going to get his own house, God bless him. He deserves it. Sure can take care of himself, that one.
Well, I mean, he is a good actor. I will say that. But I am kind of sad. I was rooting for them, Greg. I was rooting for them. It was like,
I don't know. I thought the J-Lo was, I'm confused. I thought Ben Affleck was with, wasn't he with somebody else?
Oh, his first wife, the one who was on oh my God, why am I forgetting? Jennifer Garner.
Oh, yes.
He
Uh,
divorced her. So they had
yeah,
3 kids. He divorced her, and then they were, like, broken up for a while, and then, J-Lo was with, Alex Rodriguez, and then A-Rod, and then right when they were about to get married, they broke it off. Word on the street was that he was cheating and doing some online stuff with some other blonde woman that he's with now. Okay, I say
he's
blonde
doing
woman.
online stuff like he was doing OnlyFans.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know what they were
Oh,
doing
and I
online.
like an
Things are
OnlyFans host.
You
Robbie,
what?
I'm not on OnlyFans.
You're on OnlyFans?
Oh yeah, you can pay to look at my cracked feet.
Are you for real,
There's a
Greg?
lot of people out there that pay me money to look at my cracked feet. I don't even need to do this podcast for extra income. I get paid so much for sexy barefoot running feet.
Okay, I don't believe that. I
That's
think
true.
people
It's
it's
true.
okay.
True
Well, you have to
story.
give me your OnlyFans link.
I don't know if you can handle it. It might get in the way of our professional relationship,
I
Robbie.
can handle it. I can trust me. I can if we can talk like we do, I can handle looking at some old cruddy
It's just like me.
oh, looks like getting a little sick there. Okay,
Well,
so
Robbie, I did suffer a little bit of a chest cold this past week.
oh,
It's true.
that's not good.
That's all right.
Okay, the other thing too, so we haven't talked about it, but yeah, I'm gonna let that go because I we were talking about the J Lo Ben Affleck thing. I'm sad about it. Everyone said that she's kind of a bitch,
I can see that.
but yeah, I mean, but people say that about women who have a lot. So, okay, maybe but I did hear, again, this is the gossip side of our conversation. I heard that she had one of her assistants put her hand out and she would spit out her gum in the assistant's hand. Now, if that is true, that's ridiculous. And she needs to stop doing that because that is disgusting and it is demeaning to have any employee do something like that.
What about
But
your
no,
children? Is it demeaning to have your children do that for you?
this is not a child, though.
No.
This is not a child. And if you're doing that with your child and all that kind of thing, a lot of times it's just you can't get to something. There's a situation where,
I gotta puke. What's up? Get
mm,
put your hands up.
exactly. There's that. There's like, yeah, there's the pee emergency, the poop emergency, or there's just like, oh, mommy, can I try this? Or oh, daddy, can I try this? So there's those types of things, right? She just did not want to spit her gum out into a piece of paper and do it herself. So she had her assistant put the hand out and then she spits the gum in it. She's a grown woman and the assistant's a grown woman or man. I don't know. But if that story is true, that story really got under my skin. And I'm a J-Lo fan. I got to say I'm a J-Lo fan. So I'm hoping that that's not true. But
I
I'll
do
gossip.
too. I have to be honest. The gossip celebrity thing just bores me.
That's all right. It doesn't bore me, and that's why we're having this show.
All
And
right, you talk away. I'm gonna do. I'm
all
gonna
right. So
check my email.
it's going to be a part of the show every time. So you just might as well get ready and have something the next time. What's
All
one
right.
thing or one thing that you would like to leave our audience with today?
Oh, I like to thank our audience for joining us. The one or two people that may hear this. I'd like to comment on if this ever makes us any money. That I'll be amazed. I'd like to thank everyone for rolling with Greg's modified accent throughout this conversation. I think I've gone from everything from being English to South African to being Australian, Scottish, and then a little bit Irish as well in there.
Oh, goodness. Yes, Greg. Okay. Well, my top 2 things would be one, people just whatever you can from an AI perspective, just read one article, maybe a week, even if it's a month. Subscribe to something. Just
Subscribe to the Neuron.
uh,
Robbie. Edit.
thanks, Greg. Thanks, Greg. So the Neurons one. Thanks, Greg, for that. To our audience. But again, there's so much out there, guys. And gals. There's so much out there for you to listen to. and to learn about and to understand about AI. It just, even if you are rolling your eyes about it, because I know a lot of people are, it's good to have a basic understanding because it's going to change our lives. It's going to basically be like a utility. It's going to change our lives. So that's my one tip. And then the other thing is don't get too, like if you have anxiety or depression, don't get too caught up in what Greg said about North Korea launching missiles at us. We don't know if that's going to.
Maybe that's why I have anxiety problems. I'm not saying they're going to lob missiles at us. I just meant you can't ignore all my message to the audience on that is read history, be aware of what's going on. So you be well informed, not just on social issues as you vote or your domestic politics and policy, but also how people view international order and the importance of that, because big power conflicts are a real thing. It's happened throughout history. To think that your country and your people are immune to that in perpetuity is foolish. So pay attention. That's all.
Very true. Very true. Thank you, Greg. And on that note, everyone, thank you for listening to our first episode, LFG, which means let's effing go. Let's effing go. Because this is our first episode. And tune into us for our next episode, hopefully next week.
Toodles.
Bye.